Bianca.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are
I'm
you?
good. I can't complain.
That's great. So could you tell me a little bit about your student?
Yes. I'm working with a first grade student. Her name is Hannah Collins. She is performing right now, based on my results. She's performing on a pre-primer level. She's going into the second grade. For the most part, she's really struggling. It's hard for her to decode words that are blends, diagraphs. She has no sense of vocabulary when it comes to that. It's hard for her to understand a text. She read the pre-primer passage. She answered the explicit questions correctly. She didn't answer any inference or critical thinking questions correctly.
Wow, okay.
And when I gave the listening component, I gave it on a primer level because on her word list, she went up to primer. And she was able to recall some of the events in the story.
So you did listening comprehension and you read the text aloud?
Yes. And she was able to recall some of the events, but it was not in sequential order. And she could not even answer the explicit questions when I read the text aloud.
Interesting.
Yeah. She really struggled to answer the questions.
So what lesson would you like me to come and see?
I would like you to come see word work because I think in order for me to build up her vocabulary and in order to increase her comprehension, she needs to increase the words that she can read because she's really, really struggling to decode basic words. I also noticed that when it comes to words that have the magic EFN, she can't decode them at all. So that's something that I want to work on later on. But now she's pretty good with the CVC words, but she does have some problems with decoding some of them. But for the most part, she can decode them. So I want to that's one I will list that as one of her strengths. So I kind of want to reinforce that to make sure she masters that before I move on to more challenging words.
And how will you allow her to master the CVC words?
Well, the lesson I plan to initially show her 5 words that follow the CVC pattern to see if she can decode them. Then I'll ask her what does she notice about the words. And then after that, we'll review an anchor chart, a CVC anchor chart. I want her to know what consonants are, vowels are, and then again, consonants. We'll go over the pattern. We'll do a little practice together, and then she will play a little game. I'll show her some pictures, and then she'll use the magnets to decode the word. I'll teach her the tapping out strategy, and also she will refer back to the fluency book that we read and identify some CVC words from there and decode those words.
Can you explain to me the process that you're going to use to help her decode and segment the words?
I'm thinking, that's a good question.
Will you model it for her?
Yes, thank you. I will model it for her. So the reason why I want to start off with the index cards with the words is just to see what she knows, and then I want to see if she can pick up on the pattern before discussing it. Then when we go over the anchor chart, I do have 2 different examples and everything is labeled so she can know what the consonant is, what the vowel is, what the consonant is. So I will model it for her first. I'll decode the words. I'll show her the tap out strategy first, and then she will practice on her own. And then I'll have her go up to the board and fill in the words that I'm asking her to decode. And then after that, that's when she'll do the magnetic little activity and then refer back to the text that we read to pick out some of those CVC words.
Can you explain a little bit more about what's on your anchor chart?
On my anchor chart it says what is the CVC word. So we have a C, a V, a C. So I'm going to explain to her that the C stands for consonant, the V stands for vowel, the C stands for consonant. And then I have a word, I think it's mat maybe, and the M is labeled consonant, the A is vowel, the T is consonant. It tells her what is a CVC word. So it also tells her it's a 3-letter word, it has 2 consonants, it has 1 vowel, and then it provides 2 examples, and then at the bottom, it has all of the vowels.
Can you explain what the purpose of the vowels is on the chart?
Just so she could recognize the vowels. I want her to have that reminder of what the vowels are, because I don't want her to get confused and think maybe a B is a vowel or whatever. I just want to have it listed for her so that she knows when she sees these letters, these are the vowels.
And what will you do with those vowels?
I mean, we'll go over the different sounds of the vowels, but
I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
okay.
So it sounds like you have the anchor chart with all the CVC words and the vowels that you'll review, which I think is a great idea. It sounds like you're going to model directly for her so
Yes.
she can really see the process of tapping out.
Yes.
And when you're tapping out the words, is it something that you're going to expect her to do with you?
Yes. So I'll model it first, and then we'll do it together, and then I'll have her do it by herself. So yes.
And then you said the magnetic board is where you're going to have her decode words. So is
Yes.
she going to blend the words or segment them?
She's going to segment them.
Okay, so they'll already be there for her.
Well, she's going to pick them out. So if it's a picture of a mop, so she'll sound it out, and then she'll go and get the letters to spell out the word mop, and then she'll use the tap out strategy to tap out each sound.
Very nice. And you said her fluency book. So you're linking this lesson to another lesson that you're doing?
Yes.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yes. So for fluency, we're going to read a book. I can't remember the title off the top of my head, but it's all about short vowels. So I'll read the text first, and then we'll engage. Well, she'll read the text first on fluency. She'll read the text first. I'm going to time her, and then we'll engage in a choral read, an echo read, and then I'll read it aloud, and then she'll read it aloud again to see if she can increase her fluency. And then for the word work lesson, this is the text that we're going to use to see if she can specifically identify those CVC words.
Will she have any other scaffolds or supports in the classroom available to her?
The anchor chart, and also I have a little on my board, it's a note board, so all of the work that we do together will be up there for her to refer back to.
Do you think, is there any other scaffold that would provide her with some support that would be valuable in your lesson?
I don't know.
She has the vowels, which is great, and I know you said the anchor chart, which really explains the CVC. Have you considered including another support that would include more help for her when she's trying to segment those sounds? Because it sounds like she has the vowels right in front of her. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that we could add to it?
She has a alphabet strip in front of her.
Oh, great, yeah.
So the content with all the letters, so we actually highlighted all of the vowels so she knows that the other.
That sounds like a really good support. Yeah.
She knows that the other letters are consonants.
Very good. And I like the fact that you said they're highlighted. It sounds like you've already gone over the difference, and that's providing that scaffold in case she needs it. So I noticed that you said the short vowel sound of particularly O was one that she struggled on. And can you tell me how you're going to assess that O sound in your lesson?
I just really plan to put emphasis on it because it was one specific word where maybe it was like sob or something like that. So she struggled initially to pronounce that ah sound, but I just want to put emphasis on it. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to isolate it and make it its own entity. I want to put emphasis on it and maybe go over it multiple times with her, but I don't want to make it a isolated thing. And then if I notice as she's reading the text or as she's decoding the words, if I notice that she's still struggling with it, then in a future lesson I'll just do something separate with short O. And
have you considered what you might do to follow up this lesson? You said that the CVC words were a strength. How will you use the strengths that she's focusing on in this lesson and move forward with the skills that maybe need a little bit more practice?
Well, maybe, the only thing that I could think of to do is just to go into something that will focus on her weakness while still incorporating the CVC pattern into a lesson that will focus on her weakness, which would be like the magic E sound. She struggles to decode long vowels with the magic E. So, if anything, I would just make sure I choose a text that incorporates both short and long vowels, but in that lesson I will focus more so on long vowels.
Yeah, it sounds like you want her to distinguish the short vowel from the long O sound, and that might be your next step.
Yes.
So the only other, what I wanted to go over is just what are some of the questions that you might ask her? So you said when you were practicing and modeling in your lesson plan, you said you were going to ask her some questions. What kind of questions would you ask her? Are you just asking her to decode words, or are you asking her to identify the vowel sound? Are there any questions that you have?
I want her to identify the vowel sounds. I want her to know the difference between a consonant and a vowel. I want her to know that CVC words have 3 letters in it. I want her to know that the vowel sound is in the middle. So I want her to be able to identify what are the consonants and what is the vowel.
Very specific goal. So in your objective for the lesson, you said you wanted her to identify and decode CVC words. What type of data would you like me to collect?
I want you to see if she's able to do that, and I also want you to see if it's something, if it's a specific vowel sound that she is struggling with. I want you to let me know what that is, and I also want you to let me know if the sequence of my lesson is at a good pace for her, because she is ultimately performing 2 grade levels behind. So I just want to make sure that my pacing is good for her, and that I'm providing her with the necessary things and the necessary guidance and explicit instruction for her to be able to master this.
So it looks like you want me to identify whether or not she can complete the objective, which vowel sounds she possibly does struggle with, and the pacing of your lesson.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm prepared to do that. I'm very excited to see your lesson.
Yes, me too. Thank
Very
you.
nice.